Hey everybody, welcome to a very relaxed and enjoyable drawing session. This is the first episode of Digital Drawing Den with me, Kyle Webster, and I'm glad you are here. Grab a pen, grab some markers, grab some watercolors, grab whatever you like, and you can draw along with me. You can just watch as I draw, do whatever you like. We're just going to hang out. This is going to be a very relaxed, very informal drawing session, and I thought I'd kick it off today with something that is supposed to feel cozy. Since, the word den with this title for this show makes me think of being in a place where things are warm and cozy and you have no worries. So for today's drawing, I'm going to be working on this illustration of somebody sitting by a fireplace and maybe sipping a little hot cocoa and just relaxing, just chilling out. So if that sounds good to you, then let's roll with it and let's do it. I'm going to be drawing today in Photoshop. Occasionally I'll draw in Photoshop and occasionally I'll draw in Fresco. I'm going to bounce around mostly between those two apps for this show. If you have any questions, you can throw them over into the chat and I'll be glad to answer them as we go. But then in the meantime, I'm just going to get cracking and start drawing and we'll take it nice and slow. Okay, so thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here and let's get started. Alrighty, here we go. I'm in Photoshop, got a nice blank document here. Ready to go. Got a square format because, it makes it easier to share on Instagram and also very easy for me to do compositions in this format. I'll say hi to Cody who's here. Hi Cody, thanks for being here and for watching. And I really appreciate seeing you after not having seen you in a long time. Happy New Year to you and hope you're doing well. All right, so let's start this out with some big fat shapes. I like to draw things starting out with big shapes and then work my way down to details. And so the idea is I want to have somebody kind of sitting here. This is going to be that's a head if you can't tell. Sitting here, crisscross applesauce in front of the fire and holding a cup of hot cocoa right there. The other hand coming around the side there. Nice and warm and toasty. I'll refine this just a bit. Put that head out there, leaning forward towards the heat of the fire. We put them right about there. That feels pretty good. And then here I just want to have that nice fire. So we got a little mantle like this, fireplace, fire right there, something like that. So I'll make that a little smaller, move it down about here, and this is kind of the basic idea, nothing too fancy. Maybe put a little cat right here. We're going to put a little cat. So we got that. Maybe the cat's going to overlap that foot there for that person. Curl that tail around, something like this. That feels pretty good. I don't know, what do you all think? What do you think about that? So at this stage, even though it's really early, what I should probably do is figure out some perspective. So what I can do is just knock a little line back there, and that's going to be my horizon line. And I'll throw a little dot in there. And this is pretty much just looking straight back center for a one-point perspective kind of a situation. I'm going to have lines emanating from that point. And these lines have to be fairly straight so you can figure things out. So like here, for example, if I want this bottom step, the fireplace to be right about there, I can lay that in, and then I can decide, about where I want to bring it up and round it out for that fireplace. And then I can pop up this away like this and figure out how much space to give myself for the top of the fireplace there. Have that curve back down here like this. And already this information really helps me to figure out where things need to sit. This needs to be a little closer here. But you can see how this is really helpful at this stage, just to kind of block stuff in. And then I think I want to take this person and just slide them down there a little bit. Put a little bit more space between them and the fireplace. Maybe make them a little bit smaller so everything just kind of feels like it's sitting nicely in there. And I can take everything now and just kind of slide it over about there. That's how I like to plan things out. I think if you just kind of dive in and start drawing, a head or an eye or something, it makes it really hard later on down the road to reposition things, to change things around, to make edits. You're also less likely to make edits if you've already gone so far down the road with details and things, because you really can't stand the idea of having to go back and fix it and figure it all out after you've already done all this work to get it as far along as it already is. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing to do. Good thing to do early on. So that feels pretty good right there. That's going to be then sort of the area where the flames are right there. We'll have them sitting up a bit on a little graded platform, and that can have little legs right there. Okay, throw the wood pile on top of that. Have a little log down here, and we'll have another log right here poking over the top of that one. There we go. Something along those lines. That'll be nice. See how easy it is to work these things out if you're thinking with really big and simple shapes. That's the way to do it at this stage. Keep it nice and simple. There we go. All right, now for this person here, I think it'd be nice for them to maybe having a little blanket over them, keeping them cozy. So we'll have that blanket come draping down this way and then down to the floor here. And that gives us something for that cat's tail to kind of curl around and over, like so. And we'll have that blanket then come back this way, maybe give it a little bump there. And that person can be sitting on top of part of it in the back there, just like that. I think that feels good. Getting a bit more nitty-gritty here with details, having this leg come up and out. And then it's going to come down and away from us there, and it's going to be tucked under the other leg, which is in the background there. And now that I have this perspective that I can see right here, it helps me because I can draw lines like this. I think about that knee, and then I think about another knee back here, right? And it just gives me sort of an idea of where that other foot would wind up right there. That other foot's going to be tucked here under the blanket and under that leg right there. So this whole area becomes kind of like one shape, if you will. Okay, I think that's a good thing to do. Hey, Buff Paper Mario, how are you? Nice to see you. How long have I been drawing for? Wow, since I was 3 years old, my friend. 3 years old. Been a while. I'm not going to tell you how old I am now, but let's just say it's been a long time. Been a long time. All right, so let's go ahead and add a bit of structure here, if you will, to this head here. Here's somebody enjoying this nice cozy fire. Give them a little ponytail. Up and down and bumping along the back there. Like so. That feels pretty good. Take that whole thing, shrink it down just a hair, bump it up right there. Reposition things. Every time you see me doing that, I'm just using the Command key. I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, use the Control key. Lets you temporarily, after you make a selection, select your Move tool. And that's a great thing to be able to do, to just move something and then snap right back to whatever other tool you're using. Temporarily pulling up that Move tool using the Command or the Control key if you're on PC. And that's just a great thing to be able to do. So there's our person there with their hot chocolat. Pop up over to this layer here. We'll go a little darker here while I work out some of the details. What's happening here under this blanket with have a little wrinkle right there. Pop on down this way. And here's that little bump right there. Just adds a bit of interest, you know, to take some of those shapes that are larger and just interrupt them now and then. Here's that cat right there, tucked into happy cat position where the legs and the legs are all kind of tucked under the body. You know, you see cats do that. It looks so cozy. All right, and then here we go with a bit more detail on this arm here and hand, and I want to have the finger here coming forward to grasp that handle right there for that mug. And knowing the perspective really helps, because I know that I'm going to see into the mug a little bit from this angle if she's holding it level, right? Like that. And we know that I was saying I kind of want that other hand to kind of wrap around, come around the other side here. Right there. So we'd see maybe a fingertip there, fingertip there, fingertip there, fingertip there. Now I can sort of estimate the length of the hand in the back there, wrapping around. There's that palm, fingers are wrapping around. You could even have maybe a thumb tip right there. And then I can figure out, like, what's the rest of that arm doing? Probably that. Like I said, I can imagine things like the ball of the shoulder right here, right? The upper part of the arm. Just kind of imagine that. It helps me with my proportions, like the spine coming down and then where the femur starts right there, popping through, and there's the knee. You know, it's just good to be able to draw through, if you can, draw through shapes. See how those work, even if they're not visible. Helps you work out how everything else should be. If this person's wearing socks, actually what I want to do maybe is sort of that way of suggesting that there's a foot in there with a toe and then other toes right there. That kind of shape, you know? And then another foot right here under that leg. There we go. Been drawing for 7 months? Well, hey, 7 months is longer than 1 month, isn't it? So you are doing fine. You're doing fine. Yeah, off to the races, so to speak, right? You're in good shape. Take it one day at a time, and remember, keep it simple. Draw simple stuff. Cubes and pyramids and all those kinds of things. Little simple primitives. Draw simple things. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. If you've been drawing for a short period of time, just clock your progress with simple stuff. And you'll be surprised, you know, it's fun to check on yourself, you know, every few months. Just if you do the same things for a long period of time, you'll be able to see how much better you've gotten at those little things. And that's a great thing to be able to do. It gives you confidence. You see you made a little bit of progress here and there. But if you bite off more than you can chew, if you try and do like a big complicated drawing with lots and lots of details and lots of stuff going on, you know, and it takes you weeks to finish it, I'd say that's not a good way to learn. The best way to learn is to draw a lot of drawings that are simple. Draw more drawings. Quantity, quantity, quantity. Rather than trying to draw one big difficult drawing, you know, every few weeks. That's you're probably not going to improve as fast if you do that. That's my 2 cents. Okay? Take it or leave it. Alrighty, now let's do this. Let's go ahead and throw in the shape here for this grate that's going to hold up the logs. There we go. We're going to throw one log right here. And there's a little something popping over this way. Another log. And we're going to have the fire coming up from there. So what I can do is I can eliminate some of these lines I don't need that were helping me figure out kind of where certain things were. I could throw a wall back here, and I can, from that vanishing point, pull to there, and I can establish a corner of the room right there if I want. Might be a nice thing to do right there. And maybe if we want a few more little details, we could have like a little tool for the fire leaning up there against the wall or something like that. Maybe that's a good little thing to do there. Maybe we want to have some details in the background at some point. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple like this. And, oh wow, you're buying portrait tutorials, huh? Oof. Yeah, that's drawing heads and all that stuff. That's tough stuff to start with, that's for sure. But it's also tempting. I mean, that's the fun stuff, and that's the really cool looking stuff, so we all want to draw it, you know. Can't blame you for wanting to draw that stuff. Absolutely. All right. So we have a pretty good little group here of lines. And what I'm going to do is just knock that back in opacity like that. And I'm going to go ahead and decide here. So should I draw over this, do some line art, or should I sort of paint it? It's always a tough call. Depends on what I'm in the mood for. I think I'll draw for now. I'll try the Megapack ink box here. I'll use the Belgian Comics inker. See how that feels. For something like this. I'm a big fan of the drawings of Uderzo, who drew Asterix. If you're not familiar with Asterix, it's a Franco-Belgian comic. I think it started in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. The original creators, Uderzo and Goscinny, had a good long run where they drew for drew and wrote it for about 30 some odd years, I think. And I believe Goscinny was the first to pass away, but Uderzo was going strong for a good long while there. And He did the comic by himself for a while there even. But they're both gone. But they've passed along the duties to a new creative team. And I'll tell you that the books are pretty good. I have to say they're certainly better than I thought they would be. I'm impressed. It's always hard to, when someone's had a property for that long, worked on it for that long, everybody's gonna love the original and gonna be hard to please when it comes to, adding new titles to the collection. But these two guys are doing a good job. I have to say I'm particularly impressed with the drawings. They really are very, very, very close to the work of Uderzo. I mean, whoever's doing the art, I'm sorry if I can't remember the name, and I just can't, but amazing draftsperson, really skilled. Yeah, solid stuff. So if you're an Asterix fan and you haven't checked out the new ones, go ahead and check it out. Support the work of these people. They're doing good stuff. Tough act to follow. And they're really doing a great job. So, yeah. I have to say, I'm very impressed. Certainly not a task I would want. Somebody said to me, hey, go ahead and take over this beloved comic that people all over the globe have been reading for the last 50 years. No thank you. I just can't imagine the pressure. But they're doing a great job, so. Thanks, Cody. Yeah, this is the Belgian comics inker, pretty much designed to be used the way that Uderzo drew, honestly. That was where I got the idea for it. Glad you like it. Mario says, you like how I put the fireplace together with a horizon line and a few converging lines. Yeah, that really, really helps me understand things. Otherwise, I'm just guessing, and boy, that's just too hard. I don't care how long I've been drawing. I can't guess. I can't just guess, and get it right. I can be close sometimes, but why make it hard on myself? I'd much rather spend time on thinking about the other stuff rather than trying to fiddle with guessing perspective for like an hour straight. Just use the tricks that I know because they work. Whoops. There we go. Actually, you know what I'll do here? I'm going to take this idea right here, this blanket back here, and I'm actually going to move it like that. So it's, whoops, so it's sort of, you can see it wrapping around the other arm. That helps us to understand how far away that is. I think that's a good thing to do. wonder if you can hear the violin in the background. My son and my daughter are practicing their instruments, and sometimes the microphone picks it up. Whoops. Having trouble getting that line the way I want. This is where I'm so happy for the undos. Even though I've been drawing digitally for so long, there's still something about drawing with the tablet, the plastic on glass, and the tiny bit of latency and all that stuff, that it's just different when I draw with a pen. I don't know, maybe I'm more careful when I draw with pen, but I feel like I just can trust myself more to nail a line with a real pen. I don't know what it has to do with mechanically, but it is nice to be able to change my mind. Something just occurred to me, and that is that actually the blanket should be moving the other direction. Shame on me, I should have figured that out. Right here should be moving the other direction. So what we're trying to communicate is that the leg is actually coming forward with the knee facing us right here. It's kind of hard to communicate that, but I think I'm going to have to redo that area. I don't want to get it wrong. This should really kind of do that. Yeah, because this leg is coming towards us. You can watch me struggle here with this for a while. It's going to take me a minute to get this to feel right. At least this area is better now. That definitely makes more sense. And maybe the key to making that work is to have this pull in even further. Whoops, like this. And then have it have to move up and around that leg. You see me just trying to figure it out. And having the arm inside the leg helps too, and we get a better sense of what's happening there. and this knee is popping out towards us, okay? Yeah, I think that makes a bit more sense. Bit and Brush, how are you? Annika, what's up? Nice to see you too. Uh-oh. What, is my microphone not picking up the sound? Here, I'll move it closer to my mouth. Is that better? Let me know. Here is a nice, fat, happy cat. Sound is fine. Cool. What's up, Wade? Oh, the violin. Oh, sorry, I didn't know what you were referencing there. So maybe I didn't need to move the microphone so close. All right. Whoops. There, bring that tail around here. There's that cat sitting right next to our hero figure here. Got the blanket wrapped around, got our cocoa. And what we can do here is we can just draw a little steam right here. Now, you know, maybe I'll get this right the first time. But it's always one of those things, like trying to get the shape that you want is sometimes kind of difficult with when it comes to something like this, you know? That'll work for now, we'll leave it. But you want it to be an interesting kind of a shape there. All right, so let's hide our sketch for a second and just take a look at that and see how it feels. Feels pretty good. I see areas where I want to like kind of beef up the line a little bit and like that. Mostly it's okay. I think mostly it's working, it's doing what it's got to do. Not striving for perfection or anything here, just trying to make it read clearly. Make sure people know what's going on. I find some of this to be not working so well. You know, where what I basically want is for the blanket to kind of get stuck right here and where it folds a little bit to accommodate that leg. there. I think that's a little better. It's always, for me, difficult to choose lines for drapery, like where to put lines, where not to put lines, etc. Can be a hard thing to decide. Been struggling with that my whole life, just trying to figure out where do you show people what's happening, and how much do you show without overdoing it, etc. It's tricky. It's tricky. Line weight too, like figuring out where things should be heavier than not. That's always tricky. All right, we'll bring back our sketch, and let's see, how long has it been? We're about 40 minutes in, doing pretty well for 40 minutes. Thanks, Wade. Glad you like it. Yeah, cozy times. That's the idea. We're going cozy today. It's kind of cold and rainy where I am. Not the most cheery weather, if you will. So all the more reason to turn up the cozy factor, right? So that's what we're doing. Now, the good thing about these perspective lines is I don't have to be super precise now drawing all this stuff. I can let the line break up and be a little sketchy and all that. But the good news is I've got a sketch there that's helping me understand exactly where things need to be. So even if you're not super precise, you're going to be precise enough to get the job done. And that's all you got to do. You just don't want there to be anything super wonky with that perspective, right? And so that's what we're shooting for. A little bit less wonk, if you will. Okay? Plus, I want these to feel like, stones and all that. Hide that sketch and see how that feels. So along this edge here, probably just want to go a little heavier as we get towards the bottom there. Same over here as we get closer to the foreground, and let things get a little thinner towards the background, line weight wise is what I'm talking about. Gonna change the position of this just a bit. The angle's still the same, so that's convenient. But I can reposition this just a bit. And it just helps to center this more. In the fireplace. I think just compositionally that's just a bit more pleasing to the eye. going to change the arrangement here. I'm going to have this log kind of facing away from us a bit. And then this one's going to come up and over like this. Perfectly okay to change your mind as you go. You never have to be fully committed to anything in your drawing. You can always change your mind if you feel like you have an idea that would be better. Well, by all means, give it a try. Don't just say, well, I guess that could have been better, and then leave it. You know, if you're working digitally, that's the beautiful thing, is you have choices. You can change your mind. You can try different things. It's wonderful. Let's see how we're doing. There we go. It's turning out nicely. We're feeling cozy. We're feeling like we've got a clear understanding of what's going on here. No questions. All right. So here's a question for you. How do I do the flames? What do I do? How do I make that work? Well, a lot of techniques out there for that kind of thing. If I'm going to use a lot of heavy blacks in this drawing, black line work, you know, one of the things you can do is you can just have the flames be a shape cut out of black. Like, you know, I could do something like this, and I can just knock in a bunch of black around it. Like that, to suggest that that's going to be the fire. Another thing you can do is just draw lines that feel flame-like, if you will. It's very stylized, obviously. This is something that, you know, I don't consider myself like an expert with inking techniques and all that. There are people out there who are just so good at this stuff. And I'm sure they would have other solutions, but you can see how this is a serviceable method, right? Perfectly fine. It'll work. If you do go this route, you know, you sometimes feel like obligated then to knock in a lot of other areas with heavy blacks, so everything reads, you know, and knock out certain areas as well. Like come in here and just kind of have some areas show and have other areas just burning, you know, with the white kind of cutting into some spots. Doing the shadow under here like this, and then you might feel compelled to start knocking in some heavy blacks, you know, like this, like leave a few spots for texture, But overall, because this is not a plane that's facing the flames, you think, well, I better do that right there. I better knock that in. And these are choices you have to make. You know, if you decide you could do this with color and with a full range of values, you know, that's certainly a way to do it. I guess given the amount of time we have together today, I'll probably this will just be my solution, is to try and make it work like this. All right, what do you think? Is this going to do the trick? You think this will work? Now, you know, when it comes to our subject, the girl sitting here, Glennox, hey, what's up? Nice to see you. No colors, question mark. I'm not sure if you're saying no colors like, aw, no colors? Or if you're saying no colors, like you're not going to do it. But I was just saying, like, I think given that, you know, we don't have all day here together, I was going to see if I could make this work as an ink drawing. I could put some flat color behind it, for sure. Make it more sort of like a comic book approach, you know? Yeah. But to your question about how long Adobe's been streaming, I saw Cody answered it, but FYI, this is my first time streaming on the Adobe channel, and I'm enjoying it very much, and you're going to be doing more of it. So I hope you'll join me for more of a digital drawing den, because I plan to make it lots of fun, and I also want it to be a resource for people, you know, who are looking for tips and tricks when it comes to drawing. Anything, really. But especially, you know, people who are drawing digitally and are looking for some ideas. Some of the streams will be more like this one, where I'm just having fun drawing something nice. Others, I might be giving you some more ideas for best practices, ways to use Photoshop or Fresco or whatever to work efficiently and save time and like stuff like that. And if you've never seen any of my other shows, I do an illustration masterclass every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern over on Behance, YouTube. So now is the tricky bit. You have to decide, all right, how far do I go with this idea of drawing shadows? You know, do I just really go for it? In which case, like, all this would be black. You know, any areas where basically the firelight is not directly facing those planes, do I just knock them in, just go for the solid black fill? Yeah, you could, and that's another great thing about working with layers. You totally could. You assumed it would be easier with color to do the fire. Well, you may be right. I may have chosen a more difficult method, but I think it looks okay. But yeah, with color it might have been easier. So let's see here. I think, you know, I have another layer here. So the cool thing is, you can try stuff. I could just try to see what would happen if I really went for it with shadows. Wherever the light doesn't really go. So actually that shadow on the head and the hair, I'm not really digging that, but this could all be just locked in like this. You could totally do this. And you can come in later and you can leave a few spots here and there and see how that works. But generally, any area where there's no direct facing light, you just kind of block it in. You can do stuff like that. You can cheat here and there to make it so that we understand that there's like a foreign object there, that's clipping the hair or bunching up the hair or whatever. And you hope that your silhouettes and your shapes are strong enough that it makes sense what you're doing, So looking at that now, that works for me. I mean, it's not bothering me. Can't say that I'm bothered by it. I'd have a few other dark areas here. Hi, anime fan. Nice to see you. You can type in the chat. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, just let me know. And once you've done that, you say, well, I guess I could go all the way. And you could really just do stuff like this where you're gonna knock all this stuff in with shadow. Right here. Gonna leave a little sort of a rim for the blanket there, like that. But the rest, I'm just gonna grab all of it and I'm going to use my Option Delete key command to fill that with black. I'll do this on a separate layer so I can make a decision about it in a moment and decide whether or not that's something I wanted to do. I can draw into it like this, just to make it less kind of samey all the way through, but Now it's a very different drawing when you do that, right? It's now it's all about shapes, you know. We can extend these shadows here. We can have this person's shadow just kind of run right off. Like that. I don't know, kind of like that. It's kind of fun. And with that, you know, since I don't have any space over here, I could choose to use a graphic technique of drawing lines to suggest that the shadow is moving back that way, but then not have it stop at the edge there. Since I want this kind of to be a vignette, I don't want it to be a drawing that goes all the way to the edges. So while we're at it, sometimes doing this, sometimes, you know, these big black fills can actually help to better define some parts of the drawing and make it clear what's in front of what and so on. And it can even be a helpful device for allowing you to show us, you know, what are the focal points. Her face, you know, the coffee, the shape of the cat. Speaking of the cat, you know, do I want to go so far as to block in a section right here? And then just have a bit of the tail like that. Is that enough information? The good thing about drawing is you can cheat. So you can have rules that are not 100% fixed. So for example, like I can do this, right, with the cat, but I could also like come on top of all this and use white with my pen and I could suggest where the tail is like that. You can totally do that. Like there's no rule saying you can't use white on top of black, reverse things out just to add a bit of definition and to clarify something. You know, if I wanted to do this, just to separate that a little bit. It's the great thing is like having the freedom to make these kinds of choices and to then do it all on layers, you know. Just like that kind of thing. Hey, AOE Worship, nice to see you. You thought a lot of detail would get lost, but it's working. Yeah, well, the detail got lost, but it didn't hurt the drawing, you know? I think that's kind of the interesting thing, is figuring out stuff like that. Like what's going to help and what's going to hurt, and you never know till you try, and you can try all day long when you're working digitally. It just, there's no harm done, right? That's the beautiful thing. It's just really, it's like a playground, you know? You just don't have to really worry about it. So here, what I was talking about is this idea. Like, you could basically do this. You can make lines like this that say, hey, this is a shadow, and it's going to keep going, you know? But by doing this, I can keep to this idea that I'm drawing a vignette, something that doesn't have fixed borders, which is what I'm really trying to go for here. So that's totally fine to do something like that. Now, since we're working on these darks, you know, another thing I could do is this. You know, this is not facing the light. This is a plane that's facing the same direction as this area right here. So, you know, I just kind of do a lot more of the same treatment here that I did down there at the bottom. Leave a few little bits here and there. Just for texture, you know? But I think that also helps. You know, just graphically speaking, it's so fun to see darks and lights this bold. I think it's the reason, you know, that, not the reason, one of the reasons artists like Mike Mignola, who does Hellboy, why his art is so fun to look at, is because he just, a lot of what he does is just say, well, I'm just going to take this whole big area, and it's just going to be one big black shape with a few tiny interruptions here and there. And man, it works. You know, you look at it and you just go, dang, that is a gorgeous little solution right there, Mike. And I don't know if it's just because as humans we're so drawn to contrast or what it is, but it really does work. Now, if we're going to get to, like, if we're going to be really picky about it, you know, you would do something like this too. You would have a shadow here. Because of the fire. Here's a little Photoshop trick for you. Hold down the R key. You can rotate your canvas. It makes it easier for me to do something like this. And just as before, you can grab some white and you can totally do stuff like this. Like, you can just say, hey, I know where that edge is, and I'm just going to define that for you a little bit. Not necessary, but If you feel like it, you can. Bend the rules. Well, there you go. Spent a little more than an hour together. And got a little drawing done. What do you think? Is it cozy? Making you feel cozy, I hope. Makes me feel cozy. So we'll just line that up down there. And I'll go ahead and sign it. And that does it for today's Digital Drawing Den. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll go ahead and we'll look at how things work with just the black shapes there, and it's kind of a fun thing. You can see that if you've done your job right, you should kind of be able to get a sense of what's going on. Hopefully that works for you all. I'm trying to find that layer. Where are you? Realized I did some funky business there. Didn't quite get those lines to work the way I want, so I'm gonna just quickly redraw that foot. Can't sign my name to something and then not be happy with the foot. Anyone else out there struggle with feet? Drawing feet. There we go. That feels better to me. Yes, I'm picky. Good to be picky sometimes. Good to be picky. And I think I'll just connect those two shapes right there. Just feels better. All right, well, hope you enjoyed this. I'll group everything together. We'll center it. And that does it for today. Voila. All right, everybody. Jack, what's up? Sorry, I'm just about to wrap it up, but you can see the result here. You can watch the replay. I believe these are recorded. I sure hope they are. But I'll be back again in 2 weeks. Next week I'm traveling, but normally I'll be doing this every Thursday, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern. You can join me. We can hang out, and we can do some drawing and chat about it, okay? Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right, folks. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Remember to be kind. And I'm going to say ciao for now.